What if pharaohs had Ferraris? Imagine this. The year is 2025. A blinding gold Ferrari speeds through Los Angeles. Behind the wheel isn't a tech billionaire or Hollywood star. It's Pharaoh Ramses II, the king of ancient Egypt, reimagined in our time. Cleopatra isn't boarding a Gulfstream jet. She's stepping onto a mega yacht bigger than Jeff Bezos. Sounds crazy, right? But here's the shocking part. Pharaohs already had their Ferraris, their yachts, their Rolexes thousands of years ago. They just looked different. Stay with me because in the next few minutes, we're going to explore the forgotten luxuries of ancient elites, the supercars, mansions, and megatoys of the past. And by the end, you'll realize luxury hasn't changed. Only the flex has. Let's start with the ancient equivalent of the supercar, the golden chariot. In the modern world, Ferraris, Bugattis, and Lamborghinis scream speed, wealth, and power. But rewind 3,000 years, the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, and Romans had their own version. The chariot wasn't just a tool of war. It was a status symbol. Pharaohs rode custom-built chariots decorated with gold, ivory, and precious stones. These weren't ordinary vehicles. They were the fastest machines of their day. Lightweight, engineered for speed, and pulled by the most prized horses. To own one was like driving a gold-plated Ferrari on Rodeo Drive. Everyone saw you. Everyone knew what it meant. Pharaohs weren't just rulers, they were trendsetters, flexing the ultimate horsepower, literally. Picture Ramses II rolling into battle, not just with an army, but in a glittering chariot that turned heads before swords even clashed. Imagine the whispers, "There goes the king, the man who can afford what no one else can." Sound familiar? That's the same energy as a billionaire stepping out of a Bugatti today. Different wheels, same flex. Now let's talk yachts. Today, Bezos has a $500 million yacht. Roman Abramovich, Elon Musk, they all float their wealth on oceans. But Egypt did it first. Pharaohs owned pleasure barges, massive floating palaces that sailed down the Nile. Imagine ships covered in gold leaf, lined with silk canopies, perfumed with exotic incense, and filled with musicians, dancers, and feasts. Cleopatra's barge was legendary. Roman historians described it as having purple sails that smelled of perfume. The decks glittered with gold while servants rode in perfect rhythm. When she floated down the Nile, crowds didn't just see royalty, they saw a goddess. Compare that to today. When Bezos sails past in his mega yacht, the world watches in awe or envy. Ancient rulers knew the same truth. Nothing screams, "I'm richer than you," like throwing a party on the water in something no one else can afford. The pharaoh's barge was the original mega yacht. Bezos just made it bigger. Next up, the ancient mansion flex. Modern billionaires live in glass palaces. Think Beverly Hills mega mansions, Dubai penthouses, or $100 million New York apartments. But pharaohs? They had palaces so vast they made modern mansions look like guest houses. These weren't just homes. They were entire cities of luxury. Multiple courtyards, lush gardens, fountains, temples and pools, walls painted with scenes of gods and kings, floors inlaid with lapis lazuli, ivory and gold. The Palace of Knossos in Crete had over 1,000 rooms. The Great Palace of Constantinople had mosaics so detailed they looked like HD screens carved in stone. Imagine walking into Versailles in the 1600s. That was the Beverly Hills mansion of its day. The difference? No mortgage, no HOA fees, just pure, untouchable wealth. When pharaohs invited guests, the message was clear. This is where power lives. Today's billionaires, they're doing the same. Bigger, shinier, smarter homes. But the flex is identical. I live where you can't. What about fashion? What about the Rolex, the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton of the past? Back then, there was no Rolex, but there were crowns, robes, and jewelry worth kingdoms. Pharaohs wore collars of gold inlaid with turquoise and lapis lazuli. Their robes were dyed with Tyrian purple, a color so rare it required thousands of snails just to make 1 ounce of dye. Only kings and queens could wear it. That was the original luxury brand. Limited edition. Exclusive. And everyone knew what it meant. Even the rings, the scepters, the headdresses weren't just decorations, they were signals. To see a pharaoh's crown was to see power made physical. In Rome, senators wore togas with a purple stripe, like flashing a Rolex Submariner on your wrist. It wasn't just fashion, it was permission to rule. Luxury has always been about one thing, being seen. Whether it's a diamond watch today or a golden headdress 3,000 years ago, the message is the same. I can afford what you can't. And here's the fun part, private jets. Today, billionaires hop between continents on Gulfstreams and bombardiers. But ancient elites? They had their own version. Exotic animals and beasts of burden. To ride an elephant in India or Persia was like landing in a G6. Alexander the Great paraded war elephants through conquered lands, just to show he could. Even more exotic, rulers kept lions, cheetahs, parrots, and giraffes as status pets. These weren't just animals. They were living luxuries. Imagine a banquet where the host casually walks in with a leopard on a golden chain. That's the kind of flex that says, I don't just own land, I own nature itself. Today, it's a private jet parked in Monaco. Back then, it was a live tiger lounging in your courtyard. Different flex. Same meaning. So let's circle back. What if pharaohs had Ferraris? What if Cleopatra had a private jet? What if Ramses rolled up in a golden Lamborghini? The truth is, they didn't need them. They already had their own versions. Golden chariots were their Ferraris. Floating barges were their yachts. Palaces were their Beverly Hills mansions. Crowns and purple robes were their Rolexes and Gucci. Elephants were their private jets. Luxury hasn't changed. Only the form has. The rich and powerful have always needed to show the world who they are, through things no one else could touch. So the next time you see a billionaire showing off on Instagram, remember, Ramses and Cleopatra were doing the same thing thousands of years ago. The stage is different. The props are new, but the performance? That hasn't changed in 5,000 years. And that raises the real question. Are we living in the future of luxury, or just repeating history's oldest game? If you enjoyed this journey through forgotten luxuries, hit that like button. Subscribe to the Lost Exorians and tell me in the comments. If you could own one ancient luxury, what would it be? A golden chariot? A Nile yacht? Or maybe the crown of a pharaoh? See you in the next one.